begin today the Gemara on Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Beis, right in the middle of the Amud, where it says Ahu Gavra. The first word on the line is the Achve. Gemara here is discussing the situation where a person saves himself through someone else's money. When he's being attacked by someone, by a gazlan, by someone, and he's saving himself. So is he obligated to pay for this? Ahu Gavra. There was a case with a person, Dava Mafkid Le Kosa de Kaspa. He had a pakadon, someone gave him a silver becher to keep for him. Sliku Gamvi Ilave. So Ganovim came and attacked him. Shakle Yavalu. So he went and took this becher and he gave it to them. So he saved himself with this silver becher now. Asla Kamei de Rabbe, he came to Rabbe to ask him whether he has to pay the person for saving his life with this silver becher. Patre. So Rav pater him. Amalei Abaye, so Abaye asked Rabbe, why is he potter? Hi, matzalatzmai b'mam chaverihu. This person saved his life with his friend's money. So even if you're allowed, but then you have to reimburse that person for the money that you used to save your life. Over here, we learned before in the Gemara, he took the becher with his very own hands. It's not just nice of nice biyad. He took it with his own hands and gave it to this gazlan. So you should have to reimburse the gazlan, or the owner, that is. Elo Ravashi. So Ravashi explains, Chazinon. We have to actually see it depends. Not always in such a case would you be potter. If this is a person that's rich, so these Ganovim that attacked him, they came because they knew that he's rich. So in such a case, because he's the cause of this whole attack of these Ganovim, and now he's saving his life with his friend's silver becher, in such a case, he's going to have to reimburse his friend. But if this person is not rich, then adai the kaspa also. Then these Ganovim, they didn't attack him because of himself. They attacked him because of this silver becher that he has in his possession. They heard that he has this very expensive item that he's keeping for someone, and that's the whole reason why they came and attacked him. In such a case, when he saves his life with someone else's money, when they came only for that purpose, you don't have to reimburse for this. Now Tosfos here adds and explains, even though the fact is that he did pick up the becher with his own hands and gave it to the gazlan to save his life. And before we said the rule is that if you take it with your own hands, that you do have to pay. You have to reimburse the person. So Tosfos says, not in such a case of a pakadon. By a pakadon, this is the understanding of a pakadon right from the beginning. I'm not taking your pakadon that if my life is going to be in danger because I'm keeping such an expensive item, that then I'm going to have to reimburse you for this. If I'm putting myself into such a situation that I'm going to keep such an expensive item that a ganav can hear about it, and then I'm going to have to save my life with just giving this away, it's understood that in such a case, I'm not going to be responsible to reimburse you for this. That's what Tosfos explains.
There's no shame or anything like that. The dinim of shame don't come.
No, that's not.
No effect there.
No, I don't think the word is oinus. But the nekudah is not oinus. He saved his life by giving the bech to someone else. Even if you were shoy mechinam, you still would have been chayiv to reimburse him because the yad went and you gave it to him. But because the reason why you were attacked is mitzad, the fact that you had such an expensive item in your possession, so it's a self-understood thing in the deal of this pakadon that if your expensive item in my possession will attract the attention of Ganovim, in such a case, I'm not going to be responsible to reimburse you. There was another case of a person, they gave him as to keep a wallet of money that was being used to redeem people that are captured. Sliku Gamve Elave, Ganovim heard about this and they came to attack him. Shakla Yavan Elayu. So he went and took it and gave it to the Ganovim. So he saved himself with this money of Pidin Shvuyim. Asla Kamei the Rava, or the Rabbe, came to ask if he has to pay Patre. So he patered him of paying. So again, Abaye asked him, saving his life with a friend of his money. In this case, this money that belonged to tzedakah, to Pidin Shvuyim. So he should have to reimburse the tzedakah for this. So he answered him, there's no greater pidin shvuyim here, the fact that he saved his own life with this. So since the money itself was designated for this purpose, so he used the money for the purpose that it was designated for himself. So he doesn't have to reimburse it. And here Tosfos says, it doesn't matter if the Ganovim were attracted to him because they heard he has this money or because he was rich, otherwise it makes no difference. Over here, he used the money for its purpose, pidin shvuyim, he doesn't have to reimburse. There was a case with a person, the Akdim, Va'asik Chamr Lamavra. So this is people that were traveling through a river on a ferry. So one of these people there went and before everyone else went onto this ferry, so he brought his donkey onto the ferry, before all the other people went onto the ferry. And then they're traveling across the river, and this donkey, which apparently wasn't supposed to be here on this ferry, is on this ferry. And there was a big, the boat was going to sink because of whatever, a storm or whatever it is. So what do they do? One person came along. He pushed the donkey of this individual, and he threw him into the river, and the donkey drowned to save the people on the boat. So now this person came to Rabbi to ask him whether he has to reimburse this person for the donkey that he drowned. He was saving everybody. It's again a situation where you're saving everybody through mam and chaveiroi. By drowning the donkey, everyone on the boat got saved. Patre. So again, Rabbi said to him that he's pater. Abai asked him again the question, but you're saving yourself through the loss and through drowning this donkey that belonged to your friend. Shouldn't you have to reimburse him? So he answers him, this person, the fact that he brought his donkey here onto the boat that was not supposed to be there, and because of the donkey, therefore everyone else's life was in danger. So the donkey is a roidif. It's the one that's causing everybody else's life to be in danger. In such a case, you're allowed to kill the donkey, and you don't have to reimburse. And the Gemara says, Rabbi, what he said here, follows the halacha that he said in a different place regarding a roidif. So Rabbi said as follows, and here there's a few different details that Rabbi speaks about a case where there's a person that's a roidif, he's chasing to kill someone. So he says like this, someone is chasing his friend, and he wants to kill him. And this roidif, he broke vessels along the way chasing this person. Whatever vessels he broke, whether he broke vessels of this person that he's chasing or anyone else's vessels, potter. He's potter to pay for this. And the reason is because this roidif is chayiv misa. While this roidif is chasing this person to kill him, anybody else is allowed to go and kill this roidif. So he's chayiv misa. So because he's chayiv misa, so he doesn't have to pay for any money damages that happens along the way. Now, if this person that's being chased, so while he's running away, he breaks vessels of the one chasing him, potter, he's also potter for this. And that's similar to the situation that we brought before, when this person brought his donkey onto the boat, and the donkey is sort of the roidif. The donkey is causing danger, and you push the donkey over into the water, and you potter for this. Why? A person's money, possessions, are not more valuable than his body itself. So if by the roidif, the nirdaf obviously is allowed to turn around and kill the roidif. Rashi brings here the famous expression that it says, if someone's chasing to kill you, you're allowed to turn around and kill him. So just like you're allowed to turn around and kill him, if when you're running away, you also damage any of his vessels, of the roidif's vessels, you're going to be potter for that as well. But if you damage vessels of anybody else when you were running away, so that you are chayiv for. Going back to the rule that we said before, you can't save your life by damaging someone else's vessels. Now, the lashon of the Gemara here, it sounds like it's saying that you were not allowed to break the other person's vessels for this purpose. But most Rishonim, if not all the Rishonim, say that it doesn't mean you're not allowed. You don't have to die in order not to break someone else's vessels. But what it means is that you're going to have to reimburse. You can't break another person's vessels and then walk off and not pay for it. Another halacha Rabbi said, if there's someone else that sees that someone is chasing someone to murder him, so this third person comes along and is now chasing the roidif in order to save this person that he shouldn't kill him. And this person that's trying to kill the roidif, so he broke vessels, ben shel nirdav, ben shel kol adam, whoever vessels he broke, whether from the nirdav or from anyone else, potter. He's also going to be potter. And now the Rabbi explained why you potter for this. So he said, "V'loi minadin." Minadin is you shouldn't be potter for this because over here again, in such a case, you're trying to save your friend by to kill this roidif, and along the way you break someone else's vessels. The nirdaf himself, as we said before, the nirdaf himself has to reimburse when he breaks other people's vessels. For sure, this third person that's trying to save your life and breaks other people's vessels, you should be chayiv for this. But the reason why you pater for this is, if you're not going to pater someone that's trying to save by killing this Reidiv, then people, they're going to see the situation where there's someone that's chasing someone, trying to kill him. They're not going to want to get involved, because then it might end up costing me money, so therefore he's going to stay away. So in such a situation, Chachamim instituted that whatever damage you cause, you'll be pater for this. Sagt Heilige Mishneh, Shot von Nahar. A Gazlan, he stole a property, and now the river overran this property and it flooded it. The Gazlan says to the owner, your property was flooded, but you can take it as is. Rashi explains over here that the case is that the Gazlan made an effort to stop the river from overflowing the property. So this is not a case where he was negligent and saw the river coming and he just left it as is. He tried to stop it, and then it came and overflowed the property. But he could still tell him, take your property as is. Now usually by Gezela, even in a case of an Einus, you still have to pay back the owner the value of what it was when you stole it. But over here what the Mishnah is saying is, regarding a piece of karka that you steal, and now an Einus happened and it's all washed away and there's nothing here to return really, it doesn't matter. You can tell the owner, and the regular halacha by Gzela that you have to return it does not apply. So the Gemara is going to bring the source for this. Actually, a machlek is about this. We learned in the Braisa, stole your friend's field, and now it was flooded by a river. Rabbi Eliezer says you do have to pay him back, like a regular Gzela, the value of a regular property that you stole. Chachamim say, like they said in the Mishnah, you just tell him, here, this is yours, take it as is, even though there's nothing here left of it anymore. What's the basis of their argument? So it's based on the lashon of the pasuk where it speaks about gzeila. So there's a this is actually not mamish by gzeila. This is by a person that has a pekadon and he's trying to steal the pekadon for himself by denying that he has it. So in that pasuk there's two different ways how to dash in the pasuk. Rabbi Eliezer darash ribui umiyuti. Rabbi Eliezer dashes the pasuk with a ribui and a miyut. And the Gemara explains, what does it say in the pasuk? So again, it's a person that has a pekadon in his possession, and it says first in the pasuk v'kichesh ba misay. He denies that he has it. So that first expression v'kichesh ba misay is ribui. That includes any case that you deny something that you're trying to steal from your friend. Then afterwards in the pasuk it says all kinds of details. V'pikadon. In the pasuk there it actually says pikadon, psusumas yad, gezel, ayashak esamisai. It says a bunch of different details. So miyat, that's all the details that the Torah says. It specifies these things to come and exclude something else. And then afterwards the Torah goes on and says, oy mikol asher yishava olav, anything that you swear falsely and you're trying to steal it for yourself, l'sheker chazav veriba. So now the Torah again says an all-inclusive term to include everything. So according to Rabbi Eliezer, the way we darshan this, when the Torah writes first a general term, then exclusion, and then again a general term, chazav veriba, riba umiyet veriba. According to him, the way you darshan the Torah is that there's a ribu in the beginning, there's a ribu in the end, and there's a miyut in the middle. Now, this approach of darshaning Torah basically says that if the Torah writes an all-inclusive term in the beginning and in the end, and just an exclusion in the middle, we have to be marba everything. The miyut that there is in the middle is just to be memayit one case. But other than that one case that you have to find that's very extreme, that we're memayit, otherwise we're going to include everything, because the Torah wrote tu ribuyim, so we're marba everything. So therefore he says like this, Riba hakol. You marba everything that gzela includes any kind of case, and that would include even gzela of karka. When you steal karka, you have to pay back just like any other item. So my rabbi kol mili. You marba everything. But now my miyit. But there is one extreme case that you have to be memayit. So what are you memayit? Miyit shtaris. What your memayit is, if a person steals a document for a loan, so such a kind of a document, since the document itself doesn't have its own value, that's what your memayit that over there, the halachas of a heishavus gzela does not apply. That's according to Rabbi Eliezer. So therefore the inyan of gzela still applies to karka. But Rabbanan darshan the same psukim here, klali uprati. They darshan it by a klal uprat. And therefore, the style of darshaning the same pasuk here is different. When the Torah writes v'kichesh, it's a klal. Then it writes pipikodoy, and that's a prat. And then when it writes oy mikol chazav v'kolal, and then it writes a klal again. So according to him, the way you darshan is klal uprat uklal. Now, what do you learn out from a klal prat to klal? According to him, you're not marbe everything, and you only exclude one extreme case. No, it works the other way around. The prat that's in the middle comes to show you that the klal in the beginning and in the end have to be similar to the prat. So it's much more limited here. It all has to be only ke'ena prat. So therefore we say like this: Iya tadon ele ke'ena prat. When the Torah writes over here the klal that you chayav for, and then it writes the prat in the middle, it all has to be similar to that prat. And therefore over here we say like this: Ma prat, just like the details that the Torah says when it says pikada, yisumis yad, the gazal, all those things. It's davar metaltal the gufe mammon. It's only speaking about movable items and something that it itself has a value. So afkol davar metaltal v'gufei mammon. So the whole chiyuv of gzeila only applies if it's a movable item and it's something that has value of money for itself. So therefore yotza karkais, that excludes a piece of land, she'ei metaltalin, which is not movable, yotza avadim shehukshul karkais, and also slaves that are compared to karkais, and also yotza shtarais, it excludes documents shafa pisha metaltalin, even though it's movable, and gufa mammon. They don't have value for themselves. It's just a document to collect money with it. So therefore, according to the Chachamim, we see here that from the klal prat to klal, we learn out that karkais is not included in the parsha of gzeila. So therefore, even if after it gets flooded and there's no karka left there, you just tell the owner, here it is, and you don't have to give it back him the value that it was in the beginning. The Gemara, based on this explanation, this that we learned in the Braisa, Gozal es apara v'shot fanor. Person steals a cow, and the cow also got washed away, flooded away from a river. So you have to pay back for the gzeila, a value of a cow. Chachamim say, you tell him, here, take the cow as is, which basically is nothing. There's nothing here to take. So, Hasam b'may kamiflagi. What are you going to say over there? What are they arguing about? If, according to what we just explained, they're arguing about whether there's gzeila by a karka or not, so why are Rabbi Eliezer and Chachamim arguing regarding a cow, which is a regular gzeila of a movable item? Amarav Pape, Hasam b'may askinon, and that braise, what is it talking about? It's not a regular gzeila of a cow. It's similar to the case we spoke about before. The person stole a property, a piece of karka from his friend. In this property that he stole, there was also a cow that was crouched there. And the shot fanor, and then the river came and washed away the field together with the pada. So this person never stole the cow separately. He stole the karka. So along with the karka, the Rashi says there's a kinyan of agav. Since you stole the karka, the pada that's on the karka is together with the gzeila. So the status of the gzeila, the gather of the gzeila, but again to the pada is like the karka itself. You never stole the karka separately. So therefore, Rabbi Eliezer follows his opinion, just like there's no gzeila regarding the karka, so there's no gzeila regarding this pada, which came along with the karka, you never stole it separately. And the Rabbanan say that there's gzeila on the karka, so there's gzeila on the padas, and you have to reimburse the karka, you have to reimburse the pada itself as well. A person stole from his friend, or he borrowed money, or he lent money to a person, or he gave him a pekadon. And this is all in the city, in the place where people live. So this money that you owe, whether you owe it for a gzeila, whether you owe it for a halva, or you owe it a pekadon, don't return it to the owner b'midbar, in a desert. In a place where you're giving it back to the owner over there in the desert. Now he all of a sudden here he has to now protect this thing. He doesn't have the place or the ability to keep it for himself. It's not a place to give it back to the person. Almanas lotzes b'midbar, yachzuloi b'midbar. If there was a condition, and simply what the Mishnah is saying is that there was a clear condition in the beginning that was made that you should be able to pay him back even when he goes out into the desert. Then you can give it back to him even when he's not home, even when he's traveling on the way, you return the item over there to him. The contradiction from what it says in the Braisa. The Braisa says, Milve mishtalemes b'chol makom. A loan, you pay it back to the lender in any place he is, not only when he's home and he has a place where he can put the money. Avedo pekadon, a lost object, or a pekadon that you're keeping for a person, that's something that you pay the person only when he's home in a place where he can take it back. In our Mishnah, though, it said when it came to a loan that you only pay a person the loan when he's b'yishuv, when he's at home, when he's in the city, not when he's traveling. Here it says even when he's b'chol makom, wherever he is, you pay him the loan. Amar Abaye answers, Hachi Ka'amar. This Bryce is saying a different point. Milve, when it comes to the loan, nitna litava b'chol makim. If the lender wants to collect the loan even when he's out traveling on the road, it's his right to demand the payment of the loan wherever he is. He has the upper hand because he's the one that did the favor here and lent out the money to this person. So if he wants, he can demand the money wherever he wants. That's what it was saying. It's not giving the borrower the right to pay him wherever he wants. It's talking about the lender. But when it comes to a lost object or a pekadon, so over here, you can't approach the person that's doing you a favor and say, even when you're anywhere traveling, here, I want you to pay me back right now. Over there, you pay him only when he's been mekayme, when he's in his house.
Why is the reason?
Because over there, he's doing you a favor. That person is keeping it. You don't have the upper hand over here to come and demand it whenever you want. He's keeping your pekadon. He's keeping your aveda for you. Because over there, it's not convenient for you to take a payment there. You're gonna have to guard it, and you don't have you can't put it in a drawer somewhere. It's hard to take the payment in a midbar, in a place when you're traveling. Amanas lotzes b'midbar. Then the Mishnah said, if you made a clear condition that he can pay you even when you're traveling in a midbar, so then you pay him there. If you made a clear condition, so it's obvious, why does the Mishnah even have to say this? Says the Gemara, no, the Chiddush here, the Mishnah is in a case where it wasn't mamash a clear condition. The Mafkid says, here, I'm giving you this thing to keep for me, because I'm traveling out on the way in the desert. And the Shomer says to the Mafkid, the Shomer says, I'm also traveling out. Eventually, I'm also going to be traveling, and if I want, I'll return it to you where you are on the road when I travel. So it wasn't mamish a clear condition. They didn't make a proper condition with a Tanai, but this was a conversation they had, and the Shomer let him know that I'm planning to travel as well. And the Mishnah is saying that this conversation is enough of a basis to give the Shomer the right to return it to him even on the road. Person says to his friend, Gizalticha, I stole money from you. Or Hilvisani, you lent me money. Or Ifkadtatzli, or you gave me a pekadin. But I'm not sure if I return. I can't remember if I returned this to you. Or or I did not return it to you. So in such a case, Chayiv l'shalad, he has to pay. Aval im amaloi, if this person comes and tells his friend, any edem gzalticha, I'm not sure if I ever stole money from you. It's possible, maybe, yeah, maybe not. He doesn't remember whether he ever owed money, or a milvisani, or whether you lent me money, or a mifkadatzli, or whether you gave me a pekadin. So then in such a case, pater milishalim, you're going to be pater to pay. So the difference between the Reisha and the Seif is, in the Reisha, he's saying that I know that I had money of yours, but I'm not sure if I paid it back. So in such a case, you have to pay. In the Sefer, he's saying, I don't even know if I ever had money from you. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. In such a case, you potter. We learned general machlekes. This is the famous machlekes that's brought up in Shas many times about bari v'shema. So we learned the machlekes, man elibi yotcha. Person tells his friend, you owe me a money. And this person responds, any yedeya. I can't remember. Can't remember if I paid you back or not. Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda say that he's going to be chayiv to pay. But Rav Nachman and Rav Yechanan Amri Potter. And Rav Nachman and Rav Yechanan say, in such a case, he's going to be Potter. What is the basis of their argument? Rav Huna and Rav Yehuda Amri Chayev, because Bari V'Shema, Bari Yadif. Here, a person is coming and saying, I know for sure that I lent you this money and you did not pay me back yet. And the other person responds, I don't know. So what claim is stronger? The claim of Bari, that he's definite, he's sure. And the other person is maybe, for the Bari is stronger. So he has to pay. Rav Nachman, Rav Yechanan Amri Potter. Rav Nachman, Rav Yechanan say that you're going to be Potter. Why? Because even though the person that responds, I don't know, his taina is definitely not as strong as the person that's saying a taina's body, but he's the muhsik, he has the money in his possession. And the rule is, so the machlekes over here is, what's stronger? When you say a taina shema and the other person says a taina's body, does that take away the koyach of hametz mechaveri olavaraya and you have to pay? Or no, even in such a case, we still say hametz mechaveri olavaraya. You have a taina's body, but you don't have an edim, you don't have a raya to your claim, and I'm still the muhsik, even though I only have a taina shema, but I'm still the muhsik, so I can keep the money in my possession. So Tanan, so the Gemara says, what did we learn in our Mishnah, in the second case of our Mishnah? If a person says, I'm not sure if I ever borrowed the money, so then I'll be potter. Then he's going to be potter to pay. So, hey Chidomi, what is the case that the Mishnah is talking about over here? If the case of our Mishnah that we just learned is in a case where the other person is not even b'chlal claiming anything, he's not demanding any money from him. This person just comes on his own initiative and offers and says this information that the Mishnah said, that maybe I once borrowed from you, maybe not. Is that what the Mishnah is talking about? If so, Reisha Nami, even in the first case of the Mishnah, what was the first case in the Mishnah? The person says, I know I borrowed the money, but I'm not sure if I ever paid back or not. And there the Mishnah said that he would be chayiv. But the question is why? The Reisha Nami, the Loika Tavale, if the Reisha is also a case where the person never demanded anything from his friend, am I chayiv? Why should he be chayiv to pay? If no one's demanding a penny from you, and you are coming and offering this information and saying, I borrowed the money from you, but I'm not sure, it's possible that I paid you. There's no reason you should be chayiv to pay. There's no one demanding the money from you. So how could there be any distinction between the Reisha and the Seif of the Mishnah? So Elo, don't we have to explain it like this? What is the Mishnah talking about? The Katavale. The case of our Mishnah is that his friend is coming and demanding money from him. The Katani Sefer, and in the Sefer of the Mishnah it says, Potter, that this person is Potter to pay. When the person says Shema, when he says that I don't know if I ever borrowed, he comes and says, you borrowed money from me? And he answers and he says, I'm not sure if I ever borrowed money from you. In such a case, it's body v'shema, and the Sefer of the Mishnah says, Potem b'l'shalem. So we see here clearly, like Rav Hona and Rav Yehuda, that, who was it before? Rav Nachman and Rav Yechanan is. Rav Nachman and Rav Yechanan say that you'll be potter in a case where you say just a taina shema. And here the Gemara is focusing on the Sefer of the Mishnah, this case of a taina shema, where the person was never maided to the ikar chiyuv. In a case where the person was maided to the ikar chiyuv, that's a different story. The Gemara is not asking from that. The machlekes over here has been negated to the case where the person is just saying shema, I don't even know b'chlal if I ever borrowed the money. And the Mishnah says that he's potter. Answers the Gemara, there's no raya from our Mishnah, because we're going back to what we thought originally. Loi, that's not the pshat in our Mishnah. Loi lam de loi katavale. The case of our Mishnah is different because over here, no one is demanding the money from you. Our question was, if so, in the Reisha, when you say that you borrowed the money and you don't know if you paid back, why should you have to pay if no one's asking the money from you? The Reisha of our Mishnah, when it says Yechayev, it doesn't mean Yechayev in a bezdin, Yechayev b'dinei yodam. It means bebal lotzis yidei shamayim. If you want to be yaitza for the sake of heaven, you know the emes. You're saying that you know for a fact that you once borrowed the money. So if you want to be yaitza yidei shamayim, in the Reisha it's saying that you should pay. And over here, what the Reisha is saying is, Rashi explains, in a case where the person comes and says, I know for a fact that I borrowed the money. I just can't remember if I paid back. So Rashi calls this a body ktsas. You have a certainty about the fact that you once had your friend's money in your possession, and you're not sure you paid back. So in Bezdin, we can't be mechayiv because no one's asking you for the money. But if you want to be Yetzi Yidei Shemayim, you should pay back that money since you're saying that you once had it. But in the Sefer, you're saying you have no idea if I ever borrowed money or if I ever stole money from you. So there's no level of body here at all that you ever b'chlal had money from your friend. In such a case, you don't have to pay back. Even b'dei Shemayim, even to be Yetzi Yidei Shemayim either. Itmer Nami, we learned a similar thing as well. A person demands money from his friend with a tiniest body, and this person responds, I don't know. So what was Rabbi Yechanan's shitta the Gemara mentioned before? Rabbi Yechanan was the one that held body v'shema, the one that says Shema is potter. B'dinei yadav is potter because he's the muchzik, amaytz mechaveri olav araya. But nevertheless, Rabbi Yechanan still said, Chayiv b'bo lotzes yidei shemayim. B'dinei yadav is going to be potter, but b'dinei shemayim is going to be, if you want to be yotzi yidei shemayim, you should still pay. Because there was a tini's body. There's someone else that's standing here and screaming with a certainty, you took money from me, so if you want to be yotzi yidei shemayim, you should pay it. Sagt der Heilige Mishnah, Hagoynev Tlemene, the person stole a lamb from a group of sheep, and he returned it. And he returned it without the knowledge of the owner. Umeis nignav, and then it died or got stolen. Chayiv b'achri yusay. It's your responsibility because you didn't let the owner know that you're returning it there. So he didn't know that it's there. He didn't know to be careful with it. So therefore, it's still your responsibility. When you return a geneva, you have to return it and let the owner know that you're returning it to him. If when you stole this lamb, the owner didn't even know b'chlal that you stole, he didn't know that you stole it, and he didn't know that you returned it either. And the owner counts his flock of sheep, and he sees that all the number that he knows he has is all there. potter. So then you'll be potter in such a case. He sees, he counts, he knows that he has now, so now he's aware, he sees that the number is right for what he knows that he has. In such a case, you're going to be potter. Huh? Even though you didn't let him know that you returned it, but in this case, when he didn't know that you stole it in the first place, and now he counts and he sees that his flock of sheep, that it's all back, and what you returned, he sees now it's here, you're potter. The Gemara actually here is going to bring now, let's see. The Gemara here is going to bring 4 different opinions of how to learn this Mishnah. Let's see. Omar Rav, so Rav said like this. The way to understand our Mishnah is ladas, when you steal something from someone and it's with his awareness, so this is a full-fledged geneva. The person realizes that his loss, that you stole it from him. So then when you return it to him, tzarech das, you have to return it to him also fully and properly, letting him know that you're returning it to him. Because it's a full-fledged geneva, when the person saw and suffered the loss, so now you have to return it to him also properly and full-fledged by letting him know. Shaloi ladas, but if you steal something from someone and he's not even aware of his loss that he had, so then if you return it to him without him even knowing that you ever took it, minyan paiter, as long as the owner, when he gets it back, he counts and sees what he has, and he sees that it's all back, that's enough that you'll be pater. You stole it without him being aware, you don't have to let him know when you return it. As long as he can count and see what there is, it'll be pater. So therefore, now what's the pshat in our Mishnah according to this? When it says in the Mishnah, as long as the owner counts and he sees that it's all back, that you'll be pater aseife. It's going on the second case of the Mishnah where it said lo yodu bailam, that the owner was not even aware of this whole geneva. The first case of the Mishnah, according to Rav, when it says agoiniv tle, that was a case where the person was aware of the geneva. And over there, counting the fact that he sees that it's all back is not going to be enough. You have to return it to him and let him know that you're giving it back. Shmuel says no. Bein ladas, bein shaloi ladas. Whether you're stealing it and the owner is aware of the geneva, whether he's not aware, doesn't make a difference. Minyan paiter. When the owner gets it back and he counts and he sees it's all here, that patas. You don't have to let him know directly. And according to Shmuel, how do we learn our Mishnah? V'chi katanu. When the Mishnah says in the end, umanu, that the owner counted his flock of sheep. V'ishleim, and he sees it's all here, potter, that's enough and you'll be potter. Akula, it goes on both cases on the Mishnah. The Reisha where you stole it b'das and the Sefer where you stole it without das. In both cases you're going to be potter. For Rabbi Yechanan says, La das, if you steal from a person and he's aware that you stole from him, then minyan paiter. Then when you return it to him, you don't have to let him know that you're returning it. As long as the owner counts and sees what you returned, that's enough and it'll be pater. Shalei das, if you steal from a person and it's without his awareness b'chlal, then afili minyan ami leitzarech. So then you stole, he wasn't aware that you stole from him, and you just put it back to the place where you stole it from, even if the owner did not specifically count it. But it's just like you stole it without his awareness, it's enough you just put it back to the place. And you don't have to wait and know that he counted it to be potter. According to Rabbi Yechanan, when the Mishnah says that if the owner counted and he sees that it's all back, and then you're going to be potter, a reisha. That goes back to the reisha of the Mishnah. When it said in the reisha of the Mishnah that you returned it and you'll still be responsible, so the seif of the Mishnah is saying that you don't have to let him know befedish. As long as the owner counted it, he'll be pater. So it's the umanis that's saying goes only on the first case of the Mishnah, not on the second case of the Mishnah. In the second case where it said lo yodu bailim, in such a case, you don't have to let him know. You just put it back where it is. Rav Chisda, the fourth opinion here, Rav Chisda says the opposite of what Rav said before. Lo das, when you steal from a person and he's aware of this geneve, then minyan paiter. As long as you put it back in the flock of sheep, and the owner counts it, even though you didn't let him know clearly, that's enough, you'll be pater, you gave it back. Shalei das, if you steal from a person and he's not aware of this, then tzarech das. Then when you're returning it to the owner, then you're going to have to let him know that you're returning it to him. The Gemara is going to explain this svara in a second here. So according to Rav Chisda, when it says in the Mishnah umanu es atzayin in the Sefer that if you counted and v'yishleima and the owner sees that it's all back, that you're going to be pater areisha. This is going in the case of the reisha, and again according to Rav Chisda, similar to Rav Yechanan but a little bit different. That the end of the Mishnah, the last case of the Mishnah is not going on the second case of the Mishnah, it's going on the Reisha. So it's sort of a deichik in the lashon of the Mishnah. When it says in the Reisha, in the seif of the Mishnah, umanu es hatzayim, what it's saying is, in the first case of the Mishnah, when the person you stole from was aware that you stole from him, so that it's enough if you just put it back there and the owner counts and sees for himself that it's back. But when you stole from a person, shaloi ladas, then in such a case, you're going to have to let him know that when you're returning it to him. So the Gemara now explains, Omar Rove, so Rove explained.
But yes, he counted and afterwards the Gneva.
And afterwards what?
Was the Gneva.
No. That's already when you're returning it.
Right, after you return it, that was the Gneva.
Then you're going to be chayav b'achrayis in a case.
It was there already. It was there and he counted it's there.
No, but if you didn't return it properly, though, it's still your responsibility. In a case where you stole it, according to Rav Chisda, if you steal it shaloi ladas, and then you put it back there and the owner counted it, that's not good enough. You have to let him know about it. And if you didn't let him know about it and something happened to that animal, it's going to be your responsibility. The Gemara here will explain out the svara for this. Oh, Rava, my time with Rav Chisda. What is the svara of Rav Chisda? It's counterintuitive. Why in a case when you're stealing from a person shaloi ladas, he was never even aware of his loss. Dafka over here, well, more machmer that when you return it, you have to let him know that you're returning it. And it's also a deichik in the lashon of the Mishnah. Rashi says it's like the seifa goes back to the reisha. So why is Rav Chisda saying this? So he says the svara is as follows: Hoyo, because v'ankete nigri b'riyaisa. Because when you steal an animal, what happens is it gets accustomed to the fact that now it takes steps and it walks out. The animal sees that it can go stray away from the herd of animals. So therefore, in a case where you steal from a person shaloi ladas, and the owner is not even aware of the fact that his animal got now exposed to this new nature to go out, you're going to have to return it to the owner and let him know about the gneva. So he should be aware about the fact that his animal now got accustomed to going out. So he should be more careful with his animal. But if you steal from a person ladas, he's aware of the gneva. So he's aware of the fact that his animal could go out. Over here, as long as you put it back in the flock of sheep and he counts it and he sees what's here, that's good enough, because the owner is aware now of the fact that this animal can walk out, and you don't have to mamish let him know befedish that you're returning it. Okay, but now the Gemara asks, Rava here was the one that explained Rav Chisda, but so it seems like Rava paskins like Rav Chisda. In fact, the Gemara, mi amar Rava hachi, did Rava learn like the opinion of Rav Chisda? But for Amar Rava, didn't Rava say, Haiman the chazir lechavrei? There was a case, if a person sees his friend, the agba imra me'edre didei, that there's someone that picks up a lamb from his group of animals, and Veroma Beikala, and he screams at this Ganav that's walking away with his animal, and Vishadye, the person drops the animal. But Veloyoda ihodre iloyhodre. But the owner does not clearly see whether the person actually properly returned the animal to his group of animals or not. And then Umeisei Nignav, this animal died or got stolen, Chayav Achriyusai. This Ganav is going to be responsible for this. So here, what's the case over here? This is a case of the Geneva happened with the Das of the Bailam. The owner saw this Geneva. And it was returned, not B'das Bailam. The person just dropped it and walked away, and the owner couldn't notice. I guess it was in a distance. He didn't notice if it was mamish properly returned or not. And it says that it's still your responsibility. So the Gemara now explains what the question here is. My love, isn't the case over here, Afal Gav, the money. Even if the owner then counts his flock of sheep, and he sees that it was actually returned, but it wasn't returned properly, Ladas. He didn't notice, he didn't see right away if it was returned or not. So even though he counted, so and still, what does it say over here? That he's going to be chayav b'achrayis. But according to Rav Chisda, as long as it was stolen Ladas, you don't have to give it back with the das of the Bailam. As long as the owner counts and sees, that's good enough, because the svara that the Gemara said before, according to Rav Chisda, if the owner was aware that it got stolen, he's going to be aware of the nature now of this animal, that it could walk away, that it could go away from the flock of sheep, so you could just put it back there, and it's enough that he counts. Says the Gemara, the loy money. That case over there, the halacha that Rav said, fits with what Rav Chisda said, because the owner didn't get yet a chance to even count the flock of sheep to see that it was there, and therefore it's still a responsibility of the Ganev if it gets stolen or anything happens to it. Now the Gemara goes back to the opinion of Rav. Umi Amar Rav Hachi, did Rav say that when you return a stolen item, you have to either, Rav said, either it has to be with to let the owner know that you're returning it, if you stole it ladas, or at least if it was shaloi ladas, he at least has to be counting and see what you return. But if you stam return it and the owner is unaware of the fact that you returned it, then it's not good. So the Gemara asks, did Rav say that? Didn't Rav say, a person returns an animal that he stole to a flock of animal that's out in the field or out in the desert, and the owner has no idea that you returned it. Yotza, that's good enough. So here you see, not you have to let the owner know, not the owner has to count it, and it's okay, you just return it, put it back from where you took it. So the Gemara says, Omer Rav Chana bar Rabba, Moide Rav will be Moide in this case, B'rekuasa. In the case of Rekuasa, this is a lamb which is very noticeable when it gets stolen. It's a spotted lamb, right? That has these spots in it, and so this is something which is very, very noticeable, even out in the desert, that he sees that it's missing. He doesn't even have to count. He sees that it's missing. And then when you return it, he sees right away when you return it that it's back here. And therefore, in that case, that's where Rav said that you just put it back to its place and it's going to be noticeable. Says the Gemara, shall we say that the machlokes that we brought over here is the machlokes Tanoim? Because the Braisa says, again, this is machlokes Tanoim, okay, as we'll see over here, Benegea to, in a case where it was stolen, ladas. Whether it's enough that the owner counts it, or you have to mamish give it back with his das. So the Gemara says, the Braisa said like this: Hagaynev tle mina eder, a person steals a lamb from a flock of sheep, vesela mina kis, or you stole money from a person's wallet. So l'makim shaganav yachzer, from the place that you stole it, just return it there. Divrei Rabbi Shmuel. This is what Rabbi Shmuel says. So it seems like Rabbi Shmuel is saying over here that it's enough that you just return it to the place that you stole it from. Rabbi Kiva says, Sorich das bailan. You can't just return it, put it back in its place. You have to let the owner know that you're returning it. So what is the basis of their argument? What's the case of their argument? So the Gemara says like this. So Vrua, the Gemara focuses over here first on the case of the money that you stole from the wallet. So they thought to explain the machlokes of Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva as follows. The kul almes lahu de Rabbi Yitzchak. Everybody holds of the following point that Rabbi Yitzchak said. Rabbi Yitzchak said, Adam osui lemashmish bekisai b'chol shah. A person is all the time feeling his pocket or his wallet to see what money he has in his wallet. Okay, so therefore, my love, it comes out, if so, don't you think that the machlokes over here is bisela? They're arguing regarding the money that was stolen from the wallet, which is ladas. This is considered to be a geneve, which is ladas. Because when you steal money from a person's wallet, this is something that the owner is aware of. Because it's the nature of a person to constantly be thinking, looking what's with the money in his wallet, he knows that this money got stolen from him. So what's the machlokes over here? Oh, beplukte the Rav Shmuel. And they're arguing in the same machlokes as Rav and Shmuel. So what that means is that according to... okay, what was the machlokes again of Rav and Shmuel? The machlokes of Rav and Shmuel was in a case where you steal a das. So according to Rav, when you steal a das, you have to let him know that you're returning it. Right? So that is what Rabbi Kiva is saying over here. That you can't just put it back into his wallet. You have to let him know that you're giving it back. But according to Shmuel, it's enough that he's able to count what you returned, even if you don't let him know. And therefore, Rabbi Shmuel is saying, like Shmuel, that you just put it back to the place where it is, and the person will count it, and he'll see already on his own that you returned it over there. So it seems like the machlokes of Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva is the same machlokes of Rav and Shmuel regarding what case? A case where the geneva was ladas. Now the Gemara here only focuses on the case of the Braisa where you stole money from the wallet. It doesn't explain the other case where you stole a lamb from the herd, from the flock of sheep. But according to this sort of the Gemara now, just like the case of the seller that you steal from the wallet, it's a geneva ladas because the person constantly feels to see what money he has in his wallet. The case of the flock of sheep also has to be similar. A case where it was ladas, where the owner realized that it was exela, and it's going to be the same exact machlokes. That's how the Gemara understands now. So the Gemara says, no, not necessarily. We can say shaloi ladas. It's talking about over here a case where you stole from the person without his das. He didn't realize the exela. So now what's the machlokes over here? Whether you can return it without the knowledge, without letting the owner know that you're returning it. Or beplukte, the Rav Chisda v'Rab Yechanan. And the argument over here is the machlokes of Rav Chisda and Rab Yechanan. Because what was the machlokes of Rav Chisda and Rab Yechanan? According to Rab Yechanan, when you steal it from a person and he didn't even realize the exela, you could just put it back. You don't have to let him know. He doesn't even have to count it. You just put it back. So that's Rabbi Yechanan is Rabbi Shmuel is like Rabbi Yechanan. According to Rav Chisda, when you steal from a person and he didn't realize that you stole from him, there Rav Chisda was more machmir. There Rav Chisda says, no, you have to mamish let him know that you're returning it. And that's Rabbi Kiva's opinion. So according to the pshat that the Gemara is saying now, the Gemara is focusing on the case of Argain of Tlem and Eider. Argain of Tlem and Eider is a case where it was Shalei Ladas, and now the Gemara is saying that the case of the money stolen from the kiss is similar to the case when you stole an animal from the flock of sheep, and it's Shalei Ladas, and the machlokes of Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Kiva is similar to the machlokes of Rav Chisda and Rabbi Yechanan. The Gemara brings a third pshat. The Gemara says, no, it's not necessarily connected to any of these opinions. Rav Zvit says in the name of Rabbe, this is a different case. B'shaymer, or Rashi actually, the Rishonim are not good, it's the word b'shaymer. The gears here is begainev mirishus bailem, a person that steals from the domain of an owner. Kula alma lepligi k'derav chiste. Everybody will agree to Rav Chiste that when you steal it, shaloi ladas, that the owner was not aware of this, you're going to have to let the owner know when you're returning it. There's no argument about that. As the svara that Rav Chiste explained before, because the owner is not aware now of this new exposure of the nature of the animal, you have to let him know that you're returning it. That's no machlekes. What's the case over here? Over here we're talking about a case that this is a person that's a shaymer, that has someone's animal in his possession that he's keeping for someone, and and he's stealing it for himself. And so the Bachir adds in, Shehichzer l'makim sheganav. And then he stole it for himself, and he wants to put it back to the place of where it belongs, where he's keeping it for the owner. Kamiflagi, this is the case where they're arguing about. Well, now, what's the machlekes here? Rabbi Kiva says, Kol salei shmirasai. The moment that he stole it and he took it for himself, he's not a shaymer anymore. So if he's not a shaymer anymore, he's not a representative of the owner. So in this case, he stole it shalei l'das habaylim. The fact that he took it for himself, the owner did not know that he took it for himself. What's the halacha according to Rav Chiste when you steal shalei l'das habaylim? You have to give it back, letting the owner know. So over here, you're not letting the owner know when you're putting it back in the place where you're keeping it for him. And you are not a representative of the owner anymore either. So the fact that you know that you're putting it back to the place doesn't matter. You're not representing him anymore. So therefore, returning it over there is not going to be good. Rabbi Shmuel says, that even though you attempted to steal, you not only attempted, you stole it for yourself, and now you're doing tshuva, you're putting it back to the place, you are still a shaymer. So you're the representative of the owner. So you stole it shaloi l'das habaylim. According to Rav Chiste, you have to return it l'das habaylim. You, the shaymer, are still a shaymer, so you are not like the baylim. So when you're putting it back to the place where it belongs, that's considered to be a return l'das habaylim. So therefore you'll be potter. That was the machlekes here of Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Shmuel. Okay, let's finish to the Mishnah. It says the Gemara shall we say that you return and you don't let the owner know, and it's just that he counts it, that's enough? It's a machlekes tanoim. The Tanya, because Nabraisa we learned, he stole money from your friend, and you didn't want to return it to him directly. You're embarrassed. What did you do? Then at a later point, so you buy something from him, and you pay him for what you're buying. You add him in extra money for this. Tanicha, the one Braisa says yatsa. That's good. So now you returned what you stole from him. Tanya Yidach, but in another Braisa it says lo yatsa. No, you're not yatsa for this. So now, Savrua, they thought when they wanted to say that machlekes here is about whether when the owner counts, is that good enough, like he returned it, so they thought to say like this. The Kula Mislahu de Rabbi Yitzchak, everybody holds of the point that we brought before from Rabbi Yitzchak, the Amar, Rabbi Yitzchak said, Adam asil mashmish bekisei b'chol shah. A person feels his wallet all the time, chol shah v'shah, and therefore he constantly counts. So over here, when you pay the person extra change or you pay him extra money, so he counts it over and he realizes this. So my lav ba'akam miflagi. So don't you think over here that the argument is as follows? The manda mayotza, the one that says when you pay back later in a sale extra money, and he says that's enough. Sava he holds minyan paiter. The fact that this person then looks into his wallet and he notices here now the extra money, so therefore you're going to be pater. This is a good payment. The one that says that you're not yaitza returning what the money that you stole in this way, the reason you're not yaitza is because sava minyan ain't a paiter. That's because when you steal ladas, you have to give back the money and let the owner know that you're giving it back. You can't rely on the fact that later he's going to count the money in his wallet and see that he got extra money from you. Hamri, the Gemara answers a few options here. The Gemara says that's not necessarily the machlekes. We could say like this: if we would hold like Rabbi Yitzchak, that the person later counts the money in his wallet, nobody would argue that the fact that he counts it later, it's good enough. They're arguing in this point that Rabbi Yitzchak said, Mar Islay de Rabbi Yitzchak, or Mar Lesle de Rabbi Yitzchak. They're arguing whether what happened is the person didn't put the money in his hands. He put the money straight into his wallet. And they're arguing whether the person will end up, could we rely on the fact that the person counts the money all the time and therefore he's going to realize this or not? That's what they're arguing about. Or we could say the Kol Ha'amel Islo de Rabbi Yitzchak. If you put the money in his wallet Everybody would hold like Rabbi Yitzchak that he would count it, and that's good enough. V'lei kashya. And the two brises are not a contradiction, it's different cases. The money, over here, you counted the money and put it into his wallet, and that's something the person's going to count and realize. The money, over here, you put the money into his hands, and what does the person do with the money that you put into his hands? He doesn't put it into his wallet. He may put it into a drawer somewhere, and he never ends up counting because he doesn't keep it in his wallet. He doesn't keep it in his pocket. Another pshat, the money in both cases, you put it into his wallet. Over here, the case is that he already had other money in his wallet, and therefore, when he counts later, he's not sure how much money he had before in his wallet. So when he counts, he doesn't realize the extra money that you gave him. And the less but if he didn't have other money in his wallet before, this is the only money that he got from you now that he has in his wallet. So when he counts it, he realizes the money that you paid him back, and therefore it's good enough.